Hey guys, it is I, and by I mean me. I don't know, I feel a little cheeky today, I guess. So, let's do some updates today. I want to show you some orchids because I've rearranged a little bit the grow space, and I did look at some orchids that I didn't look at in a while, like in quite a while, because they were a little high on the shelves, and I kind of neglected some of them. You know how it goes. But it's time to look at some orchids and talk a little bit about how these orchids have been doing. Let's just have a chill time today, right? So before I start, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoy it and you like to hang out with me generally. And why not subscribe? I post multiple times a week, not only updates, but also more interesting stuff as well. But if you're feeling extra and you can, do consider further supporting the channel by becoming a member, checking out the affiliate links down below, checking out the merch, or using the super thanks option below my videos. Right, let's start with the updates. Should we start with my co-host today, which she's so fragrant. Full potential. Oh, okay. Some of you at this point are like, what the heck is wrong with her today? I'm excited. I'm very, very excited because finally the setup change is paying off. Here is my first little example. You know who she? Oh, she's so fragrant. I swear to you guys, this is the most fragrant she has ever been. So do you know who this is? This is my tropical pointer cheetah. But wait, we've seen this cheetah in bloom before, some of you might say, and it didn't look quite like this. I know, trust me, I know. It wasn't this tall either. But this is what happens when you finally get it right. When you finally find that perfect setup that has synergy with you. And I knew it was the sphagnum moss. Like here in my little oven, in my little desert, it's sphagnum moss. You know, it is what it is. But as some of you might already know, Cattleyas, typically, whenever you read about them, everybody says they need airy medium, they need either mounting, either clay pots, either this or the other, airy, 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 which, yes, it's a good setup for many people, it's just not what I need. And furthermore, these orchids are also very heat tolerant, drought tolerant, and they're also epiphytes. So putting them in a full sphagnum moss, which you cannot see because I have a top layer of bark, but this is a pot full of sphagnum moss. Putting them in a pot full of sphagnum moss with no aeration holes, it's a little daunting, isn't it? I mean, I have faith, but still it's a little, what if I'm gonna end up destroying my orchids? And finally, when they just end up doing well, you know, you have your validation and it feels wonderful. So Cattleyas were the more, let's say, worrisome orchids just because you don't see people potting Cattleyas in full moss every day, right? You might see those nursery Cattleyas, which are rather tiny, rather young. And yes, you can say, well, seedlings and moss, you know, they go. But you don't see mature Cattleyas in a full pot of sphagnum moss, do you? You know? There's always a little bit of doubt. What if I made a big mistake? But it's good to see that it wasn't a mistake. And this year, I have the best bloom show I've ever had on this orchid. And I have this orchid for a few years, few good years. And it's not always fragrant. It doesn't always have this wonderful peachy color. Do you see? Many of the times the flowers were bland in the past. I mean, they weren't bland. I shouldn't say that. They're pretty, but they weren't this colorful. They were soft pink, whitish, with, of course, the purple lip. But now, this coloration, it's like the cheetahs I see on the internet. I cannot get enough of her, particularly because the fragrance situation is not something very old. I mean, for a lot of time, it did not have fragrance. I discovered fragrance, I think I made a big deal out of it at the last blooming, like a few months ago. I was like, oh, this orchid is fragrant. I didn't know it was fragrant. And it has been in this setup for a year, April 2022. So, you know, it took a little bit to adjust. But ever since I potted it in this setup, that I think it gives it what it needs, it started to put on better blooms, fragrance, and now better growth. And she's not the only one. I'm gonna show you another one when we talk about the LECA situation, but yeah, she's a representative of a larger group of Cattleyas which are finally growing to their full potential in full sphagnum moss. And I feel very validated in what I suspected, and that is this climate doesn't work. It doesn't work with too airy mixes. It grows orchids to an extent, which is fine, but it doesn't grow them to full potential because they lack water. And if they don't have enough water, they don't have enough nutrients. It's a chain reaction there, right? So full potential orchids, here I come. Once I get rid of thrips, I'm gonna be a Cattleya girl, Miss Cattleya girl. That's gonna be my nickname from now. I love Cattleyas. Expect a lot of Cattleyas on this channel from now on. All right, enough bragging. Did I brag enough? Are you bored? Yeah, okay. Next up, more bragging. This is my Dimorphorchis lowii. Isn't he big? Well, yeah, he grew a lot. When did I get this one? Well, I think I got it before the date on here. This is the date when I potted it in this setup, and it's November 2021. So definitely before November 2021. Let's say I got it 2 years ago, right? Now, if you remember, I did have other Dimorphorchis lowiis on my channel. Now I realize this is one of the first orchids that I put in moss. Okay, so I had Dimorphorchis lowii for a lot of time. One of you lovely people sent a seedling to me, and I kept losing these guys. So I lost that seedling, I bought another seedling, I lost that one, and then finally I bought this one. And at the time, I think I even mentioned it in a video, I am subscribed to the wife of Orchid Guy. I think this is her handle on Instagram. She is the wife of, I do believe, the son of the owner of Orchid Web. And I'm not good with names, I'm sorry, I don't remember the names. So she posts a lot of really nice pictures of their orchids. They always have such beautiful orchids. I wish I could buy from them one day, really, because they do have wonderful orchids, but it's impossible, they're in the USA. But I saw that she posted a picture 2 years ago of a Dimorphorchis lowii in moss, and it was in bloom. It was a mature one, it was in bloom, and she mentioned that it was growing in moss. And I thought, wait a minute, if they can grow it in moss, I can grow it in moss. I mean, I should be able more to grow it in moss because of the hot climate that I have. They don't have such a hot environment, let's say, as I do. So I put this guy in moss. I said, well, you know what? Everybody says this is more of a like vandaceous type, or it acts more like a vanda and it needs to be in a basket in sorts. I'm gonna put it in moss. At this point, whether I'm gonna lose it or not, it doesn't matter because I already lost 2. So I put it in moss because why not? And yeah, and I think it was the spark, I think, that started everything, because I thought, well, if I put this guy in moss, what stops me from putting my Cattleyas in moss as well? And I think if I look on the tags of all of my Cattleyas, they're all potted in moss after November 2021, or very like close to that date. And I think it's because of this. That picture that I saw gave me the boost that I needed to just, you know, just do what you feel is best, pretty much, no matter what the articles say. And I did not look back since. It looks wonderful, and it's growing wonderful. It is in a self-watering pot. It's one of those that has like this detachable wick, and you can pot it in a separate, let's say, nursery pot, and then put it in this holder. This is a lechuza pot. Not sponsored. I bought all of my lechuza pots, sadly, because they're expensive, but yeah, it did very, very good. And I do intend to keep it like this pretty much forever. It works out just great for me and for it. It doesn't stress me out with watering. And this setup can still go because I only have sphagnum moss in here. The top layer doesn't degrade all that fast. The moss inside, it can still go for 1.5 years, maybe 2. So I'm not even thinking of repotting this guy, but here he is. If you didn't know, this orchid has 2 types of flowers. Female flowers and male flowers on the same flower spike. They're both colored differently. One is yellow, one is red. That's why everybody loves this orchid. But I don't think any of us have it in bloom in our homes. I don't think it reached that level. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But so far, I'm happy with the decision that I made. I think I'm gonna name this video Updates to Boost Confidence, because it's one of those. It's only good news today. Next up, here is my Cymbidiella. This is not a Cymbidium. It's very different, and it doesn't really look spectacular, but that's only because this has always been a finicky plant, typically for me, and it never handled transport well. So it's always a little bit of work to rejuvenate it. Furthermore, though, what I discovered is that it is a preferred of not only spider mites, but also thrips. And they kind of did a number on it. Now, I did something with this one. Since I lost quite a few Cymbidiellas in the past, I thought, no, we're not gonna lose this one. We're gonna do something about those thrips. And you know what I did? I sprayed it with my ant insecticide, with BioKill. I don't know if it acts on other insects, but it kind of kept it a little bit safer. I didn't have any other insecticides, and I don't like to use insecticides usually, but I think you reach a point where you say, okay, I'll just have to. I'm gonna be careful, but I have to because I cannot live on like this. So I sprayed it with that insecticide like a year ago, and it was fairly clean until recently I see it's starting to have issues again. That's why it has so many like marks. It's such a magnet, but the orchid is doing well. I have a good root system. I even have a keiki. It didn't come with a keiki, it grew it here. But the next thing that I will do is to spray it with spinosad. Spinosad, I don't know how you pronounce it. When I spray all my other orchids, I'm gonna spray her as well. Now, looking at this and remembering how tiny it was when I got it, it kind of looks a little mature. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it can bloom. Maybe it is blooming size, because this orchid again has marvelous flowers. It has green flowers with black dots and a red lip. Can you imagine it? If you can't, just Google it. It's a beautiful flower. Always wanted to have this orchid. Never had success with it due to multiple reasons. Mainly its sensitivity to shipping. I lost quite a few, like on transport. They rotted on transport, literally. So I'm really happy with this one because I caught a very fast transport. It didn't suffer too much on transport. It wasn't happy, but at least I didn't lose it. But it is such a pest magnet that I always have to take care of it. So yeah, that's what I did. I sprayed it with ant insecticide. It kind of worked. I mean, it did okay until now. But I still have it, and yeah, she's gonna get sprayed very soon with spinosad. And if that doesn't work, I don't know, I'm gonna shower it every single day to keep it alive because I don't wanna lose any more of these because they're gorgeous. Next up, here we have a Vanda orchid, which I'm sure very few of you guys know I have. This is, or maybe you do remember her. This is Rhynchostylis retusa. This is one of the most beautiful Vandaceous orchids of life. Now, a little disclaimer. Me and Vandas, or some Vandas, I discovered we don't really mesh all that well because they really do enjoy the outside world a lot. And I did keep them outside at some point, which was great, but I do not have a garden. I don't have like my own space. I have a terrace, yes, but there are limitations to that terrace. It is concrete, it gets very hot, and also I cannot do a lot of puddles of water because they go down like in the structure below, and that's not fun. So kind of have to restrict my water usage like a lot. So I decided I'm gonna give up the idea of having these orchids outside. It's a little hassling, it's very hot. It's hotter than it should be because everything is concrete. So I try to grow my Vandas inside with the Barinas, with as much light as I can provide. And while some orchids do okay, some Vandas, others not so much. I have Vandas which I purchased 5 years ago, never bloomed. They're very tall, so they don't necessarily fit under the Barinas. I tried to put them on the south side, but it's still not enough light for them, I feel like. So me and Vandas are taking a break. I still have a few of them. They're outside. It's not optimal for them. Some of them didn't make it through the winter, but it's fine. I guess it's just not meant for me right now. Some of them I did give away. Some of them I will donate because they're just not working out. When I'm gonna have my own garden, you know, I'm gonna pick up Vandas again, of course. I'm gonna create a beautiful space for them. I can sprinkle them 5 times a day if I so desire, because all the water will go in the ground, not in the structure below, you know? So me and Vandas are taking a break officially. But I do still have a few Vandas that are tiny and I like. Obviously, my Bangkok Sunset is still here, don't worry about it. But you know, the tall ones, the tall Vandas, the big ones, they're not working out for me. So it's gonna be for a different time. The retusa though, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It's not such a very let's say tall grower, it's a Rhynchostylis. So it's a little different and it doesn't require as much light. I do have quite a bit of success with Rhynchostylis types, Rhinantheras, these type of things. Yeah, I can do very well with them. So I'm gonna keep these and I'm gonna try to provide as much light as I can. Oops, sorry, battery died. It got sick and tired of my blabbing. No matter, I have other batteries. So I don't know if I caught this on camera, but yeah, I have a flower spike. The problem is I don't know if it's still growing. I'll give you a close-up. I don't know. It looks like it stopped. I just noticed it, so I cannot tell you if it still grows or not. I will be able to tell like maybe in a couple of weeks. But I see a first flower spike and I'm so happy. Just Google the flowers of this orchid. You're gonna see how beautiful it is. It creates pendant flower spikes and they can go like super long. They can be like maybe 1 meter long even, if my memory serves me right. It's beautiful. Will I get a 1 meter long flower spike? No. It's a young orchid and it's the first time it blooms. And remembering where it came from or how it looked like in the beginning. Oh, you don't remember who she is? Okay, I'll link you down below to a video that shows you who she is. Do you guys remember I purchased a Vanda orchid that was full of algae on the roots, on the leaves, on the stem, and we cleaned it together? That's this orchid. Very clean and very nice today. But at the beginning, oh man, it was covered in algae. I'll link you down below to the video, to the cleaning process and all of that. Look at her today. She didn't grow very fast, did she? Well, I potted it when? April 2022. Well, okay, in 1 year, it grew a little bit. It's not a fast grower, which is great because I really don't need very tall plants at the moment, or should I say very tall Vandas. But it's not one of those that grows fast, so it's good. So yeah, this is the retusa. I think one of my favorite Vandas of all time. Just by looking at the pictures, I can imagine it's gonna be beautiful. And having a spike, even if it's not gonna continue growth. It's a first spike, sometimes they do that. Even if it's not gonna develop, I'm still happy because I know it reached maturity. So it can bloom at any time now. So I'm patiently waiting for another bloom. But yeah, there we go. My retusa is finally mature enough to bloom and I'm very excited about it. It's currently sitting hanging, you don't see, but I have it in one of those macrame hangers sitting there on the south wall, getting as much light as I can provide. And lastly, my Angraecum magdalenae. I don't have too many Angraecums left. I only have 2 left, this one and the leone. They're doing well. The leone is just growing, it doesn't bloom, but this one had a bloom last year that somehow I didn't film. It happens. I keep postponing filming stuff and they just fade away. But we have a new bud or a new flower spike just starting off. So this guy is doing great. I will be honest, I was a little bit disappointed in Angraecums, in the Cymbidiella, which I had for a long time because I read they were very fragrant and the shape of them is beautiful. But I discovered that the fragrance is horrifying to me. Like, I cannot stand it. I wanted to keep it in the house to admire it. No, I cannot stand the smell of it. It's very reminiscent of bleach, but like in a weird, worse way if possible. And also, the flowers don't last all that long, at least for me. So I was a little disappointed in the big Angraecums, but I have to say the magdalenae smells absolutely beautiful. The flowers, yes, they're not as large, but they're still very impressive and fantastic looking. And yeah, they smell good. So I really, really like this one. Plus, it's not as big as the Cymbidiella or others, and it grows slower in my opinion. So it still fits under the shelves or under the ballinas in the shelves, and it will fit for a long time, which is great. Plus this beautiful blue sheen it has on the leaves. It's very nice. Also, I noticed it's not very prone to having pests. Pests don't really prefer this one. Maybe it's because of the glaucous feature, let's call it a feature, that it has on the leaves. Maybe that's why. But yeah, pests don't really like it. It's a tiny Angraecum. Flowers are very beautiful and fragrant. What else do you want? Absolutely recommend this orchid. I don't do anything special for it. Again, it's in moss, obviously. It is a warm grower, it's not a cool grower or anything. So yeah, let me know. Do you have this orchid? Does it bloom for you easily? Do you do anything special for it to rebloom? I personally don't do, but my grow space naturally goes through a sort of a cool down in the winter time, especially at nighttime. And we did have a very cool spring this year, so that was nice. And I think it promoted some buds. The buds appeared, kid you not, in November. I saw the little growth. I thought it was a keiki, but it wasn't advancing. So I thought, oh, I think it's a bud. But it waited for, let's say, warmer temperatures, at least in the daytime, for the buds to develop. But they did sprout in November or December, and they just stood there until it got warm enough for them to open. So yeah, those are the conditions it receives here in the grow space. Other than that, my grow space stays pretty warm, kind of hot in the summertime, but generally warm, and I don't have any issues with this orchid. I cannot wait to smell the beautiful flowers. They don't last too long, the flowers. That's the only drawback for me, at least, but they do smell wonderful. And this year, I will film them. So these have been the updates for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Hope this was entertaining and hope you've enjoyed today's video. And with that said, I hope you have a great day as well, and I'll see you next time. Bye.